but in the purport also, one is the purport it is given.
Purport it is stated that the smartas there were non-devotees, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want to preach to people who were not interested to receive. So it is said that wherever he went, he saw that people were interested and he gave it there, and that was mostly in the southern side and not in that place where more of smartas were there, who were not devotees, who were not interested. They were following the smriti, they were more interested in following the ritualistic way of life rather than devotional service. So he didn't preach to them. But here he felt that it was very fertile, the place where he went, so he was preaching there. That is what.
Srila Prabhupada also told he said, he's talking about himself also, that in India he didn't find it favorable, and he went to the West, he found it favorable. And so there's a common statement that a saint is never famous in the place of his birth. He's always famous in some other place outside. Because local people always think, this fellow is one among us, why do we have to bother about him? And that's why if you see, once, even now I see, even now in ISKCON, after a particular sage or an acharya spends some amount of time, he leaves that place and goes to some other place. You take for example Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj. 20 years he was there, or more than that, 1988 to whatever. Okay, 30 years he was there in Bombay. And then he said, look, after 25 years or so, or after 20 years, he said, now let's start the Varnashrama movement. He started the Govardhan Eco Village. And one of the things was, for him, he was so much in the mood of the new Vrindavan that he sat, no matter what happened in New Vrindavan when his younger days, he stayed there because he said Prabhupada wanted us to serve Radha Vrindavan Chandra. He knew that New Vrindavan was created in the mood of a self-sustained farming community. But he had to leave there and come for various reasons. So he came there, he found immense success in Bombay, but he again established what New Vrindavan was meant for. He is establishing that in Govardhan Eco Village. When this was being established very nicely, he went back to US. So that's what happens. So the moment we take a sannyasi saying he is one among us here, he is going to be here, that sage will vanish and he'll go somewhere else. That is a warning sign for all of us.
I could see many 2-3 verses.
Loud, bro.
In many 2-3 verses, Mahaprabhu's insisting that get purified at home, chant at home. That is purposely mentioned. Get purified at home.
Yeah, bro.
Why not in dams or something?
Dam. No, he's saying you don't need to take sannyas. That's what he's meaning. With staying at home, he's saying there's no necessity for sannyas. You want to leave sannyas and take sannyas.
No, is it possible? No, in Kali Yuga, is it possible that can we get purified at home?
Yes. Why Kali Yuga? It's during Mahaprabhu's time itself. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a householder. He was just chanting at home. Of course, he was chanting in Jagannath Puri. That's a different story. You take who was the person who was arranging for all the tolls, taxes, etc. coming from Mayapur? No. The one who I forgot the name suddenly. He used to arrange for all the travel of the devotees from Mayapur to Shivananda Sen. And Mahaprabhu told him, you take care of the finances of some of the devotees. And so forget being at home. Some were asked to do typically mundane jobs, and yet they were purified. And not just purified, they were eternal associates of the Lord. But somebody has questions, doubts. Some of you think that we cannot, being at home, we cannot. It might be very valid. I want to hear from all of you. What do you all say? Madhya Sundari Mataji, Rashchita Mataji.
like being at home, we can't become ideal.
Pure. That's Prabhu's thing.
Plus the examples what you hear are exalted.
Exalted devotees.
But we are not in the plain red. We get distracted.
So we have to leave our wife and. I mean, you tell me clearly what has to be done.
That is the purification. The purified means don't think purification in any other way. That is the purification. I'm not remembering the Mataji's name, but recently there was one Prabhupada's disciple, one Mataji. She left her body, and I think her husband wrote a thing saying that she left the body being, of course, she was with her family, and I'm not remembering exactly, but it meant that it's not only the exalted devotees can go back to Godhead, but even by remaining in household, Prabhupada will help us to go back to God. Something of that sort. Maybe I'll try to search for that and give that. She told that Prabhupada came in her dream, and not dream, or towards the end of her life, and he came and he took back. Somewhere.
Ramakant Prabhu's wife gave it to you, no? Ramakant's wife gave to you. That lady's,
Not yes.
I'm such an ordinary person, even if I can be taken back, then everyone who's practicing at home can. This is a good example for that. Something like that it came. I'm not remembering the person's name or anything, but I remember reading this.
So there is a book written by one devotee, one husband. His wife passed away. That's what Vinodini is saying. So Akuti Mataji, Ramakant Prabhu's wife, she gave that book to me. To basically learn that worship your wife, you will also go back to God.
You're so lucky, bro.
that's why I wanted you to say
Share with all the other. Yeah, you posted in the group.
It will never happen.
All the husbands can put it in the WhatsApp. Daily morning.
Anything else? Yes, Prabhu. You have.
And I think even Mahaprabhu says that great devotees they can purify the pilgrimages as well. So it's not only that don't need to go there. So wherever they stay, that can manifest as a pilgrimage. So I mean, in that aspect, if you see, it is not mandate, or it's not only the way where we can get purified only on the dhams. So the capability will be there for the devotion, for the one's purity. They can convert the places where they are staying as a pilgrimage.
So to the point Guru Prabhu was saying, it's mentioned.
Loud.
To the point,
You look that side, Prabhu. Your voice should project there.
to the point Guru Prabhu mentioned, wherever we go, we get transformed that particular place. But it's mentioned in a particular place like Europe, Jagannath Puri, Navadip are considered material. Why? Europe, it's okay, it's a materialistic place.
No.
Where is it mentioned? What do you say?
It does not matter whether one lives in a holy place like Vrindavan, Navadip or Jagannath Puri,
Whether it is-
or in the midst of
No, it's
European
European.
countries.
Okay.
They will say that is material.
So coming to this point, initial question of whether the whole thing comes around the level of devotional service which we are doing. Is it enough to get us back to God? That's the question.
That's the question.
Bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
That's it. So we feel that, I'm assuming all the devotees will have the same understanding that the devotional practices of the devotees whom we read in literature like Srimad Bhagavatam and Caritamrita, that's of a very high level. So we definitely have a standard that is not where we are, and we can never ever get there, is one understanding. So at our level, what is our destination? So are we going okay, or how much should we improve, or how can we improve given our current circumstances in life, battling the waves of the material world as they call it, with so many distractions and not so intense with our devotional practices? Where are we? Where are we heading? That's all, bro. Some and substance.
Yeah, it's super, very nice.
Okay.
No problem.
Sonali Mataji, you. Chennakesha Prabhu. Shamali Mataji, come, please. Can you come closer to this side? This side. Can't see you.
This Kurma Brahmana was talking to Mahaprabhu. It is mentioned in Bengali. How come? What is the mood like? How he can understand Bengali? And the Mahaprabhu, how was he speaking? I know that there is no barricade of language for devotee and
Mahaprabhu was speaking. You want to hear that Mahaprabhu was speaking in Telugu?
So, I have a question to that. How does he know he's the supreme personality of Godhead? Maybe I missed a few points. I'm not
No,
sure.
it's not explicitly.
It's not described as.
So how does
Not
he know?
described.
Does he mention that you are the supreme Lord?
Okay.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Maybe Kurma Brahman knew all languages.
Chaitanya
Mahaprabhu was
Mahaprabhu
speaking
knew
in
all
Telugu.
language.
That's what Madhya wants to hear.
Maybe he spoke in Telugu and then got to know something.
In general, Mahaprabhu was a scholar in Sanskrit. All Brahmanas at that point in time were supposed to know Sanskrit to some extent, if not very good in grammar, etc. And if you hear very, very consistently in the Caitanya Caritamrita, Mahaprabhu used to eat in the house of the Brahmanas. Because as a sannyasi, he wouldn't eat in those days at that point in time in the house of non-Brahmanas. He would all, of course, for him, he was with Ramananda Roy, who was not a Brahmana. He had the Gopinath Patnaik, etc. They were all not necessarily the highest category as such. But when he was in Puri also, even with Ramananda Roy and others, he was with Haridas Thakur, who was not from a Brahmanical family. But yet, in Puri, he would be getting the prasadam from the Jagannath temple itself, cooked by the priest. So, as far as eating and conversing were concerned, he would interact a lot with the Brahmanas. It was in Sanskrit to a large extent. Number one. Number two, India at that point in time was also having a high prevalence of Prakrit. If you see Rupa Goswami, he has his Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava poems have Prakrit verses. Prakrit is the language of the Buddhists and the Jains. Where is Sonali?
Yes.
She went. Okay, you are here. Okay. So, like for example, you take the original Sanskrit and you remove some few like letters, not letters. It's like it's a simplified Sanskrit actually. So, the commoners, even those who didn't know Sanskrit well, used to speak Prakrit, and Mahaprabhu also used to speak Prakrit. That was commonly known. So, rather than going all the way to the extent of saying he spoke in Telugu,
Although, I'm putting it differently, so these two, both of them converse in Sanskrit.
or Prakrit.
Prakrit.
That was a common language, like how Hindi is the national language.
Prakrit.
Prakrit and Sanskrit were the common
And
language.
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is translating that in Bengali.
Yeah, I mean, not translating. It's not. It doesn't work that way.
He's narrating it in Bengali. In Bengali.
So Kala Krishnadas was accompanying Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
Kala Krishnadas, after he returned to Puri, he told everything to Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar told it to Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami narrated, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami heard from him, and then he's writing it.
Can you repeat one more time? Who heard it?
Along with, I mean, Kala Krishnadas, a brahmachari, was going along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And after Mahaprabhu completed his South India pastimes, this Kala Krishnadas gave all, spoke about all that had happened to Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar narrated all of this to Raghunath Das Goswami. After Mahaprabhu's departure, Raghunath Das Goswami went from Puri to Vrindavan. And Sanatan Goswami gave him the assignment, you have heard this, now narrate it. So Raghunath Das Goswami used to be on the bank of Radhakund and Shamakund and sit there and narrate it for 3 to 4 hours every day. In that assembly, the one person present was Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami.
Oh, it was not one-to-one.
Meaning?
One.
It's similar to the Shriya Goswami, Shriya Goswami, Assembly of Devotees.
Assembly of Devotees. Yes. Yeah. and later, so the Raghunath Das Goswami and all. I mean, see, Raghunath Das Goswami was there till I think 1580 AD or so. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was there till 1590 AD or so. He was a little older there. But Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami left sometime in 1560s. 1550, 1560 AD they left. So after that time, when there was a big, I mean, like a crisis situation, they felt who is going to know about all of these things. That time, they all, prior to writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami had already written, I think, one more book called Govinda-lila Amrita. And because he was a poet, he was in the assembly, he could do well. Everybody said, you please write the Chaitanya, the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At that point in time, Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur was already there. But Vrindavan Das Thakur primarily focused on the Leelas in Navadvip. What happened in Puri and others was not given so much importance. So it was at that point in time when he was asked by all of them, he went and begged the Mahants of all the temples of the Goswamis. They all said, take your blessing. So the thing is, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was more learned and a higher class devotee in one sense than all the Mahants. But he went and took permission from all the Mahant. The Mahant means the chief Sevayat or the chief priest of each of the temples. And when he went to the Radha Madan Mohan temple, a garland fell on him. The garland came from the deity, it came to him. And then he said, okay, now I start. So after all, so they did, I mean, the reason I'm saying this is the era of podcasts and YouTube, vlogging, etc. Anybody who has something to say, they'll start speaking immediately. That was a different era.
When this was written, what was the age, Prabhu?
See, the thing is, he says he's very old. Raghunath Das Goswami lived till the age of around 90. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami was 60, 65. Rupa Goswami was 70, 75. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was somewhere around 85, 90, something like that.
But already he has written one, previously one book.
Much earlier. I think it's called, I may be wrong, Govinda-lila Amrita. You can check on it. It may be a different book also. One of these.
That's related to Puri and...
No, it was just the pastimes of Krishna. That's it. It's a separate thing. So, he was a great poet. That's it. So, the question of Vivek Prabhu.
We are waiting.
Huh?
We are waiting for him.
Prabhu, you should post all those things.
Yeah,
Because
this,
my memory is very
I'll attempt that. This particular.
But I want to hear from all of you also. What do you think? How many of you, okay, forget everybody saying, just raise your hands. How many of you think that by two things, by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and as Mahaprabhu told Kurma Brahmana, that you have to go and speak about Krishna Katha to others. Just by doing these two, we all can go back to Godhead. How many of you believe? Yes, one.
And 4 regular principles.
And 4, okay, you say, you are adding that, but that is not given here, no?
Prabhupada wrote.
Prabhupada wrote. Okay, ठीक है, I will find. I'll add that also. How many of you do not have trust in that? You feel that maybe something is missing there. Please raise your hands.
Missing where?
Just by chanting, by
कितना ही बहुत है प्रभु.
Trust on that, but not trusting ourselves.
Huh?
Don't have trust on myself.
ourselves. We don't have trust on ourselves. Okay, nice point.
Our determination.
Because
is
Prabhupada said
black.
elsewhere that by chanting and following 4 regular principles, one can go back, go situated. Having trust in his words, yes. But looking at our own condition,
No.
Okay.
One person cannot, I mean, some people cannot do preaching, Prabhu. They can only do chanting and they can hear. Like, what about that person does not do that?
Nice point, Mataji. Too good, Mataji.
Sorry, I mean,
We have all the Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Vaibhav, everybody sitting here, Mataji. Please ask them.
Mataji,
I cannot preach, Prabhu. I can only hear. Because I am not that capable. I feel that I can just chant and
No.
I can hear the classes.
Okay, I'll come to your specific point, but Hema Sundari Mataji, you wanted to say something.
actually, I was thinking on the same similar lines. So that's why I'm offering an answer, or rather maybe a discussion. The point here is not everyone can preach, but what we live, that by itself can be a preaching to people around us. We can set an example that at minimum at least our family members can see us and they can learn. So that itself is a small level preaching. So that is what I was saying.
Okay, nice. Anybody else? Relate to? If you don't tell, see, okay, family pack. Either you have to speak or Ishusini Mataji has to speak. Family may. Yes, Rashita.
We can preach in many ways. It's not like sitting in a Vyasasana and retaking Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, or going for distribution and talking to others. That's the only way of preaching. Singing is also a way of preaching, because by singing others hear the holy names and they get attracted. That is a way of preaching. And making garlands is even Pujari who is also doing preaching. Some I have heard that even the Pujari, when he dresses the deities, others see the deities and then they get attracted to the movement and they get attracted to deities. That is also a way of preaching. So whatever service we do in this movement is way, one or other way, it's way of preaching.
So preaching is more of we living what we learn. So then that by itself becomes preaching to others. When they see, they take it.
Okay.
Generally, preaching means to speak. That's we call preaching.
What?
Preaching means to speak.
Correct.
So bolte preaching. That is not true. Always.
Well, here it specifically mentioned preach Bhagavad Gita Srimad Bhagavatam.
Is it given preach?
Yeah, it is instruct relatives and friends in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita.
Instruct everyone to follow. Tare kaho Krishna Upadesh.
So even in purport 130, there in the purport Sri Prabhupada writes the first paragraph. He says one has to follow the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Prabhu, that is chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and instruct relatives and friends in the teachings of BGNS. So that's preaching. Preaching
Correct.
The principles of Bhagavad Gita Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, so this is where I want to come to. So very nice replies Hemasundari Mataji and Rashita Mataji, and they were true that one Krishna like when Mahaprabhu saying Tare kaho Krishna Upadesh, tell others Krishna Upadesh. When you chant or when you sing, you just tell others, come sing with me, because that is one of the verses in the Bhagavad Gita says you glorify Krishna. So you are asking others to glorify Krishna. That is one line is also good. So somebody is doing kirtan, that is also a nice service. Krishna tells you offer me with devotion patram pushpam phalam toyam. Somebody does deity worship. They come and say, can you please help me with this? So you are doing deity worship. So like say for example you are doing the Rangoli. When you invite others to do Rangoli, you are also asking them to be part of this Krishna Upadesh. Right? So far I am with you now. Now I'll come to the other side. in saying that my actions are going to be instrumental in following this instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, my actions are representative of this. Are we not shortchanging ourselves and saying, I am not going to preach, I am not going to speak? Maybe Krishna can work through us, because a few verses verses later, he is going to meet a South Indian Brahmana who could barely read the Bhagavad Gita, and he was just crying. We are going to read that in a little while, right? But Mahaprabhu said, read. And he could just read one or two lines, and he said, I'm just seeing Krishna as a charioteer, etc. Can Krishna not empower, whoever is asking this question, can Krishna not empower that person to speak Krishna Katha? Is he such an important person that he cannot empower you? No. He is fully potent. He can do to each of you, right? In other words, the question point I'm posing here is, are we staying in our comfort zone to not go and dive deep into the scriptures, to not go and learn from somebody and then try to speak as much as possible. Because then, when we do an activity in which it is not comfortable for us, we depend on Krishna. When we do an activity which is very comfortable for us, we are going with our strengths. Where are we coming out of our own strength, outside our own strength, right? So that is where I want to ask each and every one of you. It's one thing to say, yes, my character should be as good as preaching. But isn't it also good that each and every one of you, most of you attend the morning classes, 6:30 to 6:50, you hear something. When you hear something, it has to come out through the mouth. If it doesn't come out of the mouth, then there is some problem. So you all too have to take it. Because you are hearing submissively, the potency is there in each and every one of you. You all can go and speak. The audience may be different. It may be a child. It could be an old person. It could be a young person, bachelor, married. Each of you will have a different audience. But that doesn't stop you from moving further. Right? It could, okay, worst case, it could be your own husband or wife. Right?
That is the worst case.
I shouldn't have said that. I said the wrong word. The bare minimal case. I am sorry. I am sorry.
That's the easiest case though, but they're right in the house.
No, that is a tough case.
It's the most difficult part.
But there's a practicality.
Don't waste your time.
Of accessibility.
So we take them for granted and we try to give more and it will backfire.
So one of the problems we face in the moment we say about, we take this Krishna Upadesh, we call it as preaching. And the word preaching has a fundamental problem. The word preaching means, I know something more than you. I will tell and you follow. You are a fallen. So the word preaching came from the Britishers and the Europeans and the Americans, where they would preach the Bible. You are fallen. You please beg Jesus Christ to forgive you. Tell that I am sinful and you shall be forgiven. It means somebody is low. The person to whom I am preaching to is low. I am already saved. You should save yourself also. That is a common connotation which happens in the word preaching, directly or indirectly. Even when we tell preaching, we think I have to be at a higher level, somebody has to be at a lower level. And when we observe ourselves carefully, we recognize I am not higher than anybody. Right? So the problem is in the understanding the word preaching. What one says is, appreciate Krishna Upadesh, and you can just say, hey, I like this Krishna Upadesh. You might have liked something else. I want to hear from you. If we ever feel low about it, let us go at that level. That is also Krishna Upadesh. We are not saying you should follow. Hey, I like this. Probably you're already following it, or I know you're following it. This is how you are following it. It's so nice. That is also Krishna Upadesh, no?
Basically, discussion of
Krishna Katha is important.
So that's the difference between preaching and Upadesh.
No, Upadesh is not difference. Upadesh is a superset.
Okay.
Preaching is a small subset in that.
Okay.
Sometimes English cannot take all the subtleties of the Sanskrit language.
You once told me,
no, but
preach, and if required, speak.
Speak. Yes, correct. So, like what Madhapriya is saying, there are two sides. Speak when required, but for that reason, don't speak. Don't come to the stage of not speaking at all. So that is why, at least to most of the devotees here, I have been encouraging, try to find some program by which you read and you speak to somebody. It could be like, for example, a good number of the Matajis here, they hear in the morning, they come together 11 o'clock. Do they preach anywhere? None of them say that I am better than you. But they all discuss about how they have understood. And some may be right, some may be wrong. It's not necessary that everybody is right. But they will learn through the process. It so happens that for most people, their mind starts working when their tongue starts working. You keep quiet. If you, for most people, very rare people, they read something and the mind processes it and it stays in the heart. That is for many rare people. But when you ask people to start speaking, then out of fear or I don't know what, or the pressure or I don't know whatever else you call it, they start, Krishna, tell me what is it? I can't understand. So you're pushing a person to the edge while speaking, and then something happens.
Once, when I was talking to Maharaj about hearing, not going inside and all those things, he told me this: Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grihnanti. Hear, whatever you hear, you speak, then only you will be able to absorb it.
Whatever you hear, you speak, then only you get up.
You absorb it. Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grihnanti. Shrinvanti.
And the Grihnanti,
Gayanti, Grihnanti.
if you take the Gaya, if you don't speak, the other problem that happens is we feel too proud of ourselves.
I know.
No, not like, see, the pride that happens is, it's both pride and enviousness, both come out. The person feels that I know so much, that person doesn't know anything, that person is speaking. Out of my humility, I am keeping quiet. That person doesn't even have the humility and he or she is simply speaking. These kind of thoughts come into our picture, and this doesn't help us in our chanting. Better to speak.
Speak out.
And you would have observed when you have to tell it to someone, we hear it more carefully. So that is also an impetus to hear properly.
And
when we have to tell it to someone.
And the thing that happens with Krishna Upadesh, adding to what she's saying, we tell it better is we live our life in a better way when we are responsible for others. Because we realize many times, the moment you start taking responsibility for others, we realize others, I am probably not effective because there is a problem in me. That purity comes. And so we start raising our own level. In terms of maybe it could be a simple thing in terms of chanting, or it could be in terms of not reacting to things, but very calmly thinking, if my Guru were there in this occasion, how would he have responded? So we start, over a period of time, we start living our life like how our Guru lives. And that is the way we become purified. So it is therefore important to in the process of giving Krishna Upadesh, we become either humble or we become humiliated. That humiliation leads to become humble. Somebody will humiliate us, and that is the best part of it. And with that humiliation, we try to live. How would my spiritual master have lived like this? I'll give you a simple example. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in sometime in 1960s, some 67 to 70, somewhere around that time frame, Kirtananda Maharaj and a few other disciples, they started saying, Prabhupada is getting old, I am the next Acharya. And Prabhupada immediately felt, what is this? I am living here in front of me itself. When I am present, he has already put me out and he has become the next Acharya. A guru does not feel bad that his disciple is becoming an Acharya. A guru feels very happy. But when it is done at the cost of slighting the guru and proclaiming oneself to be greater, the guru doesn't like it. So he learned certain things from that exchange with Americans. Then he realized his strategy changed. So till then, in the books in his or the pamphlets that he published or the booklets that he published, his name was A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. From then on, he's put founder Acharya. He added to it. But while he added that to it, somebody may say suddenly, Prabhupada is not becoming humble. He is becoming has even more pride. He is asserting his position. But while he was doing that, the way he started interacting with his disciples changed. So Srila Prabhupada was continuously adapting himself. He was looking at people and he was adapting himself. And it is this very same adaptability which happens in the life of a preacher. This continuous adaptation makes them humble, because to adapt, one has to look at inspiration from the Paramatma. And it is in looking at the inspiration from Paramatma that one comes closer, one's heart opens up. So therefore it is important that each and every one of you who's quite has, I mean, you all have at least a bachelor's degree. You all should speak in various ways. Yes, bro. Yeah. Oh, end of time. You are saying too much.
So Prabhu, like preaching that we speak to others and all. But
One minute. I'll just qualify one thing. Well, I said preaching to others, it can start with family. This is a very neglected aspect in our household life. I can tell I myself am neglecting it. So having said that, I realize what I'm doing wrong, but I have to come out of it. One of the things that we miss is we read maybe by ourselves or something and then discuss about those points with our own children. We don't do it. Forget husband and wife. Husband may not listen to wife, wife may not listen to husband. That's a different story. But discussing about the world and the Bhagavatam and the lectures together, put it all in perspective. That is a nice basis for building relationship with our children. Otherwise, what happens? Do this, don't do this. Do this, don't do this. This is what parents keep telling the children. Right? I keep telling that. So,
Samhita saying only half is true. Don't do this, don't do this.
Don't do this. Okay. Something. So the problem is we become boring for our children. And as we grow older, we feel I spent all my life energy in taking care of my child. I struggled in a job for this child, and yet this child doesn't want me. Why? We became boring for our children. Don't be a boring dad or a boring mom. Be an interesting dad or an interesting mom. Yes.
So Prabhu, this preaching part, or you're saying talking, speaking, and all these things. Actually, it's very challenging, Prabhu. We put a lot of effort. Hardly, not even 10%. Just 1 or 2% people, they actually take to it what we are trying to say. And people know, they acknowledge. Like today, I was of his juice function. I was taking juice. And there was one of my teammate, not directly, and she was also taking juice, and I said, okay, Happy New Year, how was the New Year, everything and all. And slowly, from her facial expression, I thought, okay, there's something gadbad hai kuch to. And I said, okay, I want to change something in New Year. What do you want to change? Office mein ye cheezein. Okay, that's the office thing you want to change. But is there anything personally you want to change? So she said, yeah, something personally I want to change, this and that, but it's not working out. So 2-3 layers we discussed, and she acknowledged whatever I said is true. And then when I said, okay, this is the solution you should try, this is material solution, this is spiritual solution, and there she kept quiet. And she won't discuss or go further onto that. Another example, there was one Bengali boy, I was talking to him, I met in my hometown, and I was just trying to, discipline, because what he did, decided that he just read something saw something from YouTube, and we met him also. So I met him is one part, and then a lot of things he's seeing from YouTube. He decided world is going to end in 2030. So chant Hare Krishna, go back to Godhead. So he's practically stopped studying everything. Daily ka 30-40 rounds chant karta hai, and always does YouTube.
In Samsung?
No, he's a boy, Bengali boy, 15-16 years old. He's staying in Odisha now. So family became frustrated, and then I spoke to him, made him discipline everything, and he came to track. Okay, no, you have to study also. So daily 4 घंटे पढ़ना, ये करना, सब कुछ किया. Suddenly and then he became vegetarian by his own. Suddenly one day, the parents calling me, Dear Lalitha sir, I said yes, I was driving. Please ask my son to eat non-veg right now. There is a family function, 50 people. In the background, there's huge noise. They were shouting at the boy like anything. I was driving. I had taken my brother and his family back to the railway station. There's full traffic. And I say, I am driving. I'll call. It's an emergency. You tell my son to eat non-veg. The entire 50 people, the gathering is there, and they are all just. They are not. Nobody's eating because he's not eating, and you have to tell him. I said, I never told him to eat veg or non-veg or anything. And since then, I think they blocked my number. They took the boy's phone also. And he became a villain over there. अब कौन सी purity यहाँ पे चाहिए? What purity is missing here? I don't know. So many cases happen, Prabhu, and there are बहुत सारे cases, Prabhu. तो सक्सेस इतना सा है. Problem बहुत ज़्यादा है. And people.
So many programs, but hardly any family came.
No, no. I mean, sometimes you'll have to see.
And Prabhu, just to add, some people, I noticed they started avoiding us. ये भी होता है. So we understood, okay, maybe we have to कुछ change करना पड़ेगा. So that another one more case is there, but ठीक है.
Correct. So some cases.
Like one more case is there. We don't know. Urbana Sotu. One example is enough. All of us have
like that. They hate to see me. I can realize that they give like that expression that they have seen some post or something.
One thing I can tell, I got feedback from others, like a few people were talking to me about preaching and all. Like these ISKCON people will be very commercial persons. They will be like they are forcefully pulling the people like Christians. That means they already have an opinion on Christianity. So they are comparing their thing with Christianity.
Correct.
So somewhere there some lag is there, Prabhu. So they are thinking.
No. I feel they are intelligent. They have got it right. They have got it right.
She's saying lag in our side.
Maybe they are seeing similar things in both the ways.
Yes.
Maybe we can improve something.
It is. See, the reality is, it is true that vast majority, if you talk about how ISKCON preaches, it is like Christian preaching. It is true. Is it not meant to be? I would ask the question, why not? That is a way. The traditional method was a little different. Everybody belonged to that same culture. They used to come to a temple. There will be one nice devotee who would give a katha. Everybody will get attracted to that katha, and they will take 5%, 10%, how much ever they could assimilate, they would take it and go. But now nobody comes to the temple. So the person in the temple has to go outside. Right? And it is very similar to Christian preaching. Now what people feel is, I will be taken out of my comfort zone there. They are very intelligent. Most of us, when we got attracted to Krishna consciousness, we never thought that I would be taken out of my life. I would have to stop many things in my life for this. Why? Because some devotee blessed us to not have that obstacle in our life. Somebody removed that obstacle. It is true. That is what is happening. Finally, we have to give 100% to Krishna. That is what will happen. But most people have that obstacle. By some Vaishnava mercy, that thought was taken away from our mind when we came here. That's all. They are intelligent. But they are intelligent in a material way. They are not intelligent in a spiritual way. That's the only thing. Spiritual intelligence requires kripa. Some kripa shakti is required.
What I felt is, they might be felt that more negativity on other side. So they are comparing this with us. So obviously they will be seeing
I'll give you an example. See, to mitigate this is where you have these very nice devotees like Gaur Gopal Prabhu and others. They are having a different set of programs. They crack jokes and they attract people through jokes. So those who are very capable of doing it, they go that way. So people are changing strategies, trying to attract them, which is what you and Yashaswini Mataji too have to do. Know when to speak in general, when to speak, what to speak. It is something that you learn by trial and error many cases.
And learn that way. उसमें कितनों को हमने कत्ल किया है?
Chitra Prabhu told my husband
How
once,
many people you murdered in
like
that
how
process?
you become a doctor when you kill 100 people. Similarly, you become a preacher when you kill 100 people's spirituality.
See, one of my victims is Karthik Prabhu in his family. What do you think? You are new about ISKCON preachers. Be honest, don't worry. We will give prasadam for sure.
I'll say I'm currently living material life.
Okay.
So, but my wife trying to come into spirituality. But I hope I will be soon.
No, I'm saying, what do you think about the ISKCON preacher in general? We are talking about ISKCON preaching.
And the first lesson to use is do not use the word preacher. Do not use the word preaching.
Yeah, preaching is very strong word.
You should never.
Prabhu, you tell the other word not to use.
Other word क्या?
God, we will not use preacher, we will not use anything. ISKCON.
No, see, like one of the words is preaching. The other word is ISKCON devotee. Nobody is a devotee of ISKCON. They are trying to be a devotee of Krishna. Right? Are you ISKCON devotee? I am an ISKCON devotee. You are not an ISKCON devotee. You are trying to be a devotee of Krishna. Right?
Full-time devotee.
Full-time, part-time, or whatever. Yes, please go.
You are saying something to us.
I mean,
trial and error is one part which we are doing.
No, although this trial and error is there, we now have certain systems in place where people do undergo a training on how to present it. Most people, they can undergo this training if they are submissive enough. Most people are not submissive enough. Because it has to involve in two things. One, them accepting that this is how you have to present. Second is identify their own niche area. Accepting becomes tough because most people are set in their own ways by the time they reach the age of 30-40. They say nahi hoga. So only when the school of hard knocks hits them, then they start changing it. Number one. But to identify one's own self, this is what I like it. Somehow our education system has not trained us in that way. It takes some time. So that is where it happens this way. But in general, as long as a person is sensitive enough, one ends up having a conversation and people come in only when required. Like I have a conversation with you. If you are really convinced about what I'm saying, then you'll come, okay, I want to know more.
Yeah.
Like that. Or when you show interest, you may not explicitly say it, then I will say, can we have this bhajan program together? So you don't start putting too much philosophy. You will have to put layers like a layered cake, 3 layers cake, 3-layered cake. Like that, we have to put various layers. Our problem is we pack everything in lecture. We only do 2 layers actually. Our layer 1 is lecture, layer 2 is prasadam. But there are other subtleties, the icing on the cake, etc. We have to show the icing on the cake first. We don't do that. Right? So, which means people come that they want to be involved. We don't give them a thing for involvement. You see, a lot of people go for earthquake relief and everything because they feel I am contributing something to the society. But first and foremost, what we do? You don't know anything. I will tell you. And once you are ready, you can start speaking something. But first, listen to me carefully. I mean, that is the vibe we give to them. I mean, in this era, people are having lakhs and lakhs of rupees of salary. Why will they listen to you and me? That fellow already knows I am on the career path to success, right? This method works if you go to villages. It works with simple people. It works with people who are less than, they studied up to 12th standard or 10th standard or below. It works. There's a demography where things work, but there's a demography where it doesn't work.
Okay. So here the involvement is something which we need to look.
We need to have people get involved in things. And I mean, I can tell you, as soon as His Holiness Rompad Maharaj saw me, he gave me an assignment. He spoke little, he started giving services. Service after service after service after service. That's it. And that's a nice way. Like the first service that I got was like I went into the hill temple first by hearing there was this western tune of this Jai Radha Madhav. And those days they used to project it on the screen, like with the transparent sheets and everything. They played that music on the speaker and they used to project these paintings on the transparency. I liked that music very much. That was 1993 that I saw. 2000 I went to Penn State and Maharaj asked, what do you have in your program? What do you want to do in Penn State? Would you like to do anything in Penn State now that you have been chanting since you've been there in Bangalore? I said, Maharaj, when I joined, I liked that PowerPoint, I like the presentation. Those days, 1983, PowerPoint was not there. OHP.
Yes. Sheets were there.
Sheets were there. Overhead projector. So this, Maharaj said, can you do the same in PPT? I stayed one night fully in the lab, not working on my assignment, but I did a PPT for it. I embedded an audio in it, and I was late by one day. He asked one more disciple to call me. Aspiring disciple, he was not his aspirant, he was just a nice devotee. That fellow called, and then I said, okay, I'm done. And then Maharaj used it. Get people involved. Okay.
But at the same time, they shouldn't feel that they are trying to use me.
Correct. That is also there.
So first we empathize, feel the pulse.
Yeah.
Understand
the pulse and
but
their strength is also.
But now I'll come to the other part of what you said. What have I achieved in speaking to so many people? You may never know about it. You may never know. Either it might have impacted them, or it might have impacted somebody whom they are in touch with, or it impacts you. You don't know. It's a very mysterious world. This is where we come to that Bhagavad Gita thing. Apna kaam hai karna. That's it. After that, what happens, Krishna takes care. Of course, we should not be foolish enough. We should be observant of what is happening. We should improvise, and better than improvisation is be trained.
Any such training program we have? Do we have?
There are many are there.
The trial and error is something which consciously, unconsciously I have been trained. That's why it's But one thing is
Consciousness behind preaching is also why we are preaching for what? We cannot change the whole world in 1 second. We are just trying and being the instrument, and it's for our own purification, basically.
And also the same verse, 109 we read. Mahaprabhu did not preach in the Navadip area, but he was preaching in south. So we have to see where it is fertile, to whom we should speak, whether it is.
So maybe it's not just Kirtishala, it's somewhere else too.
And sometimes, Prabhu, like I can relate whatever the struggle whatever preaching and speaking, you can say, and when I read. Like you might find it funny. So when this Bengali guy episode happened, right? So now I'm helpless. I can't help that boy.
Yeah.
Connection, parents Natalia. When I call the parents next day, he said, "We'll take care of our child. Thank you." Cut the phone. So when I reading Bhagavatam, so Brahmaji, when he said to Manu that now you start prison, Manu found that this earth is in the water. So I can't take it. Brahma also said, "I can't take myself."
Yes.
Then he depended on the Lord that you only can protect. Then
so nice. Very good.
So I prayed for that boy that now you take care of him. So something.
Yes.
I have seen in US Prabhupada disciples when I go for meditation. Because of their purity, I can easily find the difference. Because of their purity, when they give a book, they will directly go to the soul. You are the spirit soul, and you are not the body, you are the spirit soul. They will directly go to
the
level.
philosophy.
Just starting from the soul. But the others are taking from them because of their purity. They can go to that level.
Purity matters.
8:40 today. Long.
Long distance.
Thank you, Hasika.
Thank you.
We'll end here.